Hello, Matthew. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good. Just driving into work, brother. How you doing?
Cannot complain. It is a tremendous weekend, at least for sports weekend in the Indiana area, period. As there's so much going on. There's Hoosier hysteria that is tonight for Indiana. Then you've got, of course, they've got a football game tomorrow. I'm not sure if you've heard.
Yeah, just a little get together with Nebraska, man. It's gonna be awesome. Then you got the Colts factoring into the equation on Sunday. Their
Yep.
only home game for the month of October. So yeah, they're all big, and they're big because they're all the next games. So fired up for it all.
Absolutely, yeah. That is the entire slate. You run Friday through Sunday as the Dolphins will come in to Lucas Oil Stadium, and hopefully it's two in a row for the Colts. Matt, their offense has been pretty damn good for not having your starting quarterback, not having your starting running back, partially not having your starting wide lead star receiver until he came back and did a Willis Reed last week. But Joe Flacco, man, he's going to get an award for something.
Well, he got one last year. He was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year with the Browns. And you're right. I mean, this guy's almost 40 years old. He and I are the same age, right? We're both 39. And he's still good. He doesn't even know how old he is. You know, it's that old dangerous line, like, how old would you be if you didn't know when your birthday was? That's exactly how Joe Flacco is operating, man. He gives the Colts a great chance to win every single time out. Now, here the deal is this week, though, Anthony Richardson is trending towards coming back. He's practiced all week. Shane Steichen said this week that he's going to be the starting quarterback on Sunday, barring a setback, and nothing like that has happened to this point as the Colts have yet to practice on Friday, obviously. But it's a huge step in the right direction for him. And we'll see about Jonathan Taylor. As you said, he's missed the last 2 games, and he's missed the last 8 practices, including 2 this week. So it's not looking good for his availability for Sunday. Now, he's the type of player that could still maybe play and be effective without practicing all week, but it would be, not practicing for 3 straight weeks and then coming back and playing on Sunday, which would be a tall order for anybody. So that's kind of the injury report for the Stars on offense. But it's a huge game for the Colts. Got to get this one because the schedule's going to heat up, man. It really is, starting next week with Houston on the road and then Minnesota on the road as well. So it's that old adage, right? It's not who you play, it's when you play them. And right now the Colts get a break because the Dolphins last year were really good, really prolific on offense. That's not at all happening right now with this team, with Tyler Huntley as their backup quarterback. So you got to get this one at home because the schedule's definitely going to ramp up starting next weekend.
No doubt. And this is getting that win over Tennessee was huge in a couple of different ways because they played an unusual amount of divisional games early in the year.
They do, and had they lost that game, they would have been 0-3 inside the division. And certainly nothing's impossible, but it would have been really tough to win the AFC South, losing your first 3 division games of the year, including one of those being to the Texans. As I said last week, I think the the Texans, they won the AFC South a year ago with a record of 4-2 inside the division. So that's kind of the standard that you're trying to get to. So you're gonna have to put some good performances together starting next weekend down in Houston. But I think the biggest part of last week in terms of momentum is that the defense finally kept a pedestrian offense middle of the pack. The Chicago Bears and the Steelers and the Jaguars, they put up big numbers, and these are not juggernaut offenses so far on the season. And the Colts turned them into, the Chiefs or the Bengals for an afternoon. So
Absolutely.
you got to do a better job, I think, across the board. But they did for at least one afternoon against Tennessee. The big part of that game was they won the fourth quarter. They won the fourth quarter 10-0, which was a good step in the right direction. And again, you're in the valley of the bad offenses now, and Miami, no disrespect, they might be the worst of the bunch. They're scoring only 12 points per game with a backup quarterback. So the defense has to have another good performance on Sunday.
Absolutely, and that was the key because Indy should have won or could have easily won the Jacksonville game in Jacksonville and vanquished that streak. But the offense did everything they could to win that game. The defense just could not stop Trevor Lawrence and crew.
No, I mean, it's a shame because, I mean, Joe Flacco, dating back to last year, he's got the best QBR in the NFL since he took over as the Browns quarterback, I think in week 13 of a year ago. And when he starts, he's 6-2 in that time. He should be 7-1 because you score 34 points on the road in the NFL. That should be enough to win, but obviously it wasn't, as you alluded to. So that one was a missed opportunity, especially when you factor in that, you know, a week later, the Jaguars go on the road. They play in London against the Bears, and they look terrible, which makes that loss look even worse for the Colts. So, yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I wish I had the answer. Whatever is going on, it just continues to plague the Colts. Whenever they play the Jags on the road, they just come up empty. And Jacksonville is one of the worst teams in the NFL at the time of these matchups, you know, in the last decade plus. So it's a riddle. I can't figure it out, but I guess the good news is, or the silver lining is, that game's behind you. It happened early enough in the season that you can still kind of string some wins together and hopefully overcome that loss.
How about Michael Pittman Jr.? No one thought he was even going to play, but not only does he end up playing, but makes probably the play of the game.
Well, he makes the two plays of the game. You know, arguably, you're right. I mean, it was really bizarre how everything went down last week. You had a bunch of national reports from some very credible sources and some very credible dialed-in people. And I don't know, maybe it was just a little bit premature, but Michael Pittman Jr. sat down, had a hard discussion with his dad and some other people that are close to him. And he said, hey, I want to be there for my teammates if I can. If I can play, I want to give it a go. I mean, some of these reports had him going on IR and out for at least 4 games. And he guts it out, and there he is. I mean, a week ago today, he's out there practicing, looking good. He's full go, and then makes the game-winning touchdown catch in the fourth quarter in Tennessee. Then with the game-sealing catch for a first down of the 2-minute warning to put the game out of reach for the Titans. Those were some huge moments, and this was a guy that, again, just a couple of days prior to that it was very ominous on what the rest of his season was going to look like. Now, that being said, I think it's probably fair to say that he's going to deal with this nagging back injury for the remainder of the season, but he's one of the toughest guys I've ever seen. And, if he's at whatever it is, 60, 70%, that's better than nothing in the eyes of Michael Pittman Jr. And so he's going to give it a go just like he did last Sunday, as long as he can tolerate that pain.
Tougher than me, Matt?
I mean, Jim, I love you, but I'm going to say that you're not taking 35 hits a game on Sundays in the National Football League.
It sounds like I have, trust me, but you are very, very accurate in that, an astute assessment. A huge weekend of football for Indiana, and man, it's not that. It's still weird to say, even though I kind of expected this. I just was talking with Todd Leary, and I was talking about, I thought that Indiana was going to be 6-0, but what I didn't think about was all that is coming with this. The constant Cignetti's everywhere. Everybody wants to talk to Curt Cignetti, as they should. I mean, he is doing something that nobody else could do at a place where no one else could do it. And it's pretty amazing just to watch. But the transformation, the stadium sellout, it's just going to be an absolute blitz of a weekend. And you add Hoosier hysteria to that tonight. So it's just going to be crazy on the IU campus.
Well, I personally identify so much with Curt Cignetti. I've never met the guy. I hope I can soon one day, because I'm really fascinated by this guy, just to hear him talk. And the reason why I identify with him so much is because he is so process oriented. And as someone that's type A and likes to get their hands on everything, I can totally identify with that. Like, I can jive with that dude, and holding people accountable, holding yourself to a high standard. Man, that really speaks my language. And what I've said about Indiana football for the last 20 years as, an adult football IU fan, he is coming in and proving me right. And I've said forever, that there's no excuse Indiana football can't compete and be much better than they have historically been. All right. There's no excuse for it. They're in the Big Ten. They've got the money. They've got the resources. And you're there closer than I am, so you can speak to this better than me. But it just seems like they needed more of a commitment from the top. And it looks like they're getting that. But there was no reason at all why Indiana football couldn't be Iowa or Wisconsin or Northwestern or Michigan State. Those programs are routinely, annually going to bowl games and winning 7-8 games a year. No reason Indiana football couldn't be that. And guess what? Every 4, 5, 6 years, you got something really special, right? Then you got a chance to go to a bowl game on a New Year's Day bowl. And what did I just describe? I described Iowa. I described Wisconsin. I described Northwestern and Michigan State. There's no reason Indiana football can't compete, and especially no reason now because you're living in the day of transfer portal and NIL. So I think we have to get used to, taking the logos off the helmets and, not overreacting to, oh my gosh, this team's good. Well, every team can be good, and every team can be, a quick turnaround program in the era that we live in. But Kurt Cignetti's done a great job of, putting into reality what I've been saying forever about Indiana football. They need to take themselves more seriously, and they certainly have with this hire.
You're exactly right in everything that you said. They finally made the right hire, and I'm amazed that someone had not scooped him up prior. But luckily for Indiana, because he's one of the few people that could probably do this at Indiana. It has just been difficult, but he has an exacting process. He has, as he calls it, a blueprint and a proven plan. He has the right people around him that he talks about, and his coordinators have been with him for a decade each in various capacities. That's immeasurable. I mean, that's longer than a lot of people's marriages. So they know each other inside and out, and the success has been there. The proof is in the pudding. I know that everyone will say, well, that was, at Elon, or that was at James Madison. It doesn't matter. Look at James Madison. They're damn good this year, and look what they lost. They lost all of their coaches. They lost all of their great players, and they hung 70 on North Carolina.
Yeah, he talks too about changing the mindset, changing the way people think. And again, this is what I've been saying for a long time. Take yourself more seriously. You're a Big Ten football program. You have more resources than you know what to do with. Use them. There's been this aura about this stigma around IU football, and that shouldn't be the case. And again, he's proving in 9 months on the job, 10 months on the job, that you can erase decades plus of bad feelings and a bad perception, not only from the outside, but I think how Indiana perceived itself about football. It's like, well, we're not a football juggernaut, and we're never going to be that. Well, why the hell not? He comes in and says there should be no self-imposed limitations. And I know I'm parroting the guy a lot, but I firmly believe everything that he said. Why shouldn't Indiana try to be, a great football program? Why should they try to just go 6-6 and try to win a bowl game? No, if you're going to put in all this time and all this work and all this effort, try to be the best. And that's obviously what he's doing. And I think they got a shot to do something incredibly special this year.
Absolutely. I agree with you, brother. Last thing, you have a pick for the game this week, tomorrow?
For the Colts game or the IU game?
No, I wouldn't. The Colts game, we expect the Colts to win.
Hi, Matt Taylor here for an interview for the Colts.
Sorry, Jim, I'm trying to get into work here. It's kind of crazy, man. I'm on the intercom.
That's what live it's all about, baby. That's what makes it so fun. This is the real stuff happening, baby. Matt arriving at the Colts facility as, of course, Matt Taylor, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts.
Trying to get to the stadium today, man. Trying to get through security.
I would think that they would know you by now.
Well, they got this band competition going on. There's thousands of people in town for a band competition at the
dude, you know how much I would have paid just to hear you say, yo, dude, man, Matt Taylor, I'm with the band.
Yeah, I'm with the band. Yeah, I'm a groupie for the marching bands. But
I'm with the band, man. No, I was talking about tomorrow's game, Indiana, Nebraska. Nebraska's got a very, very solid defense. I think their offense is just better than average. Indiana's defense is not quite what Nebraska's is probably, but they're right behind them statistically. The 11th best scoring defense in the country, but Indiana's offense is 0.2 of a point off of leading the nation in total offense. Curtis Rourke is the most efficient quarterback in the country. Is he an NFL quarterback?
You know what? That's a really good question. I mean, based off of everything that I've seen, he's certainly within the conversation of being looked at. And I mean, I can tell you that he looks. I'll just say this. I mean, I'm not a talent evaluator or a scout, but he looks better than some of the guys that have been drafted in the last couple of years. I'll tell you that. So yeah, it's going to be a fascinating game. I got Indiana winning this game. I think it's going to be close, but I think the fourth quarter and the crowd and the home field advantage and, some of those coaching intangibles that we've talked about, I think those, come to the forefront late in the game. And listen, if Indiana wants to do something special, you got to win games like this against a, historically great program, a team this year that's having a really good season. I think they're 5-1, Nebraska. And I'll just say this, Jim. All right, here we go. So the Colts have 4 out of 5 on the road in the month of October. So that means in a span of like 42 days from late September until early November, I get 1 day off of work. All right. So there's a couple of like travel days in there, like leave on Saturdays, which I count as work days because I'm not at home and I'm, not doing some personal things that you got to get done. So you got a lot of time management and you got to budget some things. But my 1 day off of work in the month of October, I will be spending down in Bloomington going to this game. That's how much I want to go to this game. 1 day off of work, and I'm going to spend it watching football, watching the Hoosiers.
For the Nebraska game?
For the Nebraska game. I'm going tomorrow.
Are you going alone?
I'm going to drive down alone and meet up with some friends, I think. And then, take in the game and just be a fan for a couple hours.
I was going to say, you're more than welcome to join us on the post-game show afterwards.
Oh, hell yeah. Where you at?
We'll be on the field. I'll text you and get you down there.
All right, yeah. Give me a credential and let's roll. Let's do it.
Absolutely. I'll reach out to try to get you credential today, as a matter of fact.
That's awesome. I'm all about it.
We'll see. They may be full, but appreciate you, brother. I know you got to get in there and do that interview, but look forward to seeing you tomorrow and hopefully on the post-game show as well.
All right. Can't wait for it, man. Have a great day. Appreciate you.
You as well. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts. Make sure you give him a follow and stay up on his awesome job he does each week on every game for Indianapolis.